Welcome to the UFC Report for February. I'm going to talk about some of the best fights this month, top contenders, and top prospects fighting this month as well, so feel free to skip ahead to those minute marks for those sections. All right, best fights this Saturday, Drew Dober versus Renato Money Moicano.
I want the fucking bonus! Moicano wants money!
If you're looking for knockouts and comedy, this fight is for you. Drew Dober, Mr. Crimson Chin, is the record holder in knockouts at lightweight with 9. He's an absolute savage. He'll get hit 3 times just to hit you once with that laser beam left hand from southpaw. The dude is relentless. He'll get beaten up for a round and a half and still come back to knock you out. Truly one of a kind. The chin is just ridiculous. The power is elite. And he has the heart of a lion. We saw that against Terrence McKinney, who's getting butchered for about a minute and a half. He got knocked down 3 different times, then kneed Terrence McKinney the beginning of the end, and then finished him off with some ground and pound. Drew Dober, truly a savage at lightweight, and again, the knockout leader at the division with 9 knockouts to his name. On the other side, Renato Money Moicano, a great personality with phenomenal jiu-jitsu, someone who if he gets to your back, it's most likely game over. He's got the patented rear naked choke or face crank if he needs to. He can't get under the chin. Renato Money Moicano, a threat on the ground, and he's always improving on the feet, coming from featherweight, now at lightweight. He's always improving fight to fight, and a really, really exciting lightweight to keep an eye on. I think this fight is either a knockout or a submission. I want to see a guaranteed finish here. I'm going to take Drew Dober just because the power is always live, but I hate rooting against Renato Money Moicano. I'm going to take Drew Dober here, the underdog, via knockout, but don't be surprised if Renato Money Moicano gets an early submission. If he can't, I see Drew Dober taking into deep waters here and knocking him out in either the second or the third round. Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria for the featherweight strap at 298. That's February 17th. As we know, Alexander Volkanovski, one of the greatest MMA fighters of our generation, arguably the greatest featherweight of all time. Those 3 wins over Max, wins over Aldo, Chad Mendes, the Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega, the list goes on and on. He's undefeated at featherweight in the UFC at 13-0. Those 2 losses coming at lightweight against Islam. The dude can do it all. He's an absolute freak of nature, well-rounded in all categories, but he is coming off that head kick loss to Islam Makhachev, and he's coming back quite soon. That was at UFC 294 only a few months ago, so you don't like to see a guy come back from a knockout so soon, especially against Ilia Topuria. This man is a killer. 14-0, 6-0 in the UFC, one of the greatest featherweight prospects we've ever seen entering the UFC. He can do it all just like Volkanovski. He's fast on the feet. He's very powerful. His boxing is sharp. Fundamentals are excellent. And he's really a scary proposition for anyone at 145. He's well-rounded, too, with his grappling abilities, coming from Georgia and then moving to Spain as a kid. That Greco-Roman wrestling style, that's what he's built off of. We saw that in his UFC debut against Yusuf Zalal. And then that Jai Herbert knockout, knocking him out cold after getting head kicked. And that was at lightweight, too. He had like a 12-inch reach discrepancy there, and he absolutely smoked Jai Herbert. So Volkanovski's a god, man. He's been a featherweight legend for a while now, but I'm going to take Ilia Topuria here by unanimous decision. I think he gets it done. Another great fight this month, Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. That's on the same 298 card as Volkan Ilia, and it'll be in the co-main. Now, as we know, Robert Whittaker was the guy at 185. Before Izzy, before Duplessis, Robert Whittaker was beating the who's who of the division, was obviously the champ, and a guy that's highly entertaining to watch, someone who's always in it. He's got that patented 1-2 with the head kick disguised behind it, and someone who's really beaten everyone in the middleweight division except for Izzy and Duplessis. You know, Brad Tavares, Yoel Romero twice, Jacare Souza, Gastelum, Till, the list goes, Vittori, the list goes on, and someone who I believe is 1 to 2 fights away always from that title challenger spot, and someone who in a hypothetical rematch I think can beat Dricus. On the other hand, Paulo Costa, this dude is as fun as it gets, both outside of the octagon and inside the octagon. A dude who always brings it. He's on that secret juice, so you know he's coming with power, and he's always coming to fight on the feet especially. Sharp boxing skills, really solid kickboxing, and a guy who's coming off a fun win over Luke Rockhold. Before that, he had that war against Marvin Vittori. Obviously came in 20 pounds overweight, but a dude who's always fun to watch. Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. I'll take Rob there by decision. All right, honorable mention at featherweight, Dan 50K Ige and Andre Touchy Fili. Now, Dan Ige, the Hawaiian featherweight, always comes to fight, always ready to scrap. He's been in the UFC now for a while. He's had 15 fights in the UFC. And, let's be honest, Dan Ige and Andre Fili, neither of these dudes are going to be UFC champions or top contenders, but they both come to fight each and every fight. They're ready to throw down. Dan Ige has serious power, really sharp boxing. As you see here, the Gavin Tucker knockout just starches his ass and then walks away. That was 20 seconds into that fight. Completely starches him. Damon Jackson, little check left hook, walks away again, walk-off KO. Andre Fili, Dan Ige, both really fun to watch. I think Ige clearly has the power advantage here in the boxing realm, and someone who can really touch your chin and hurt you bad. And then on the other side, Andre Fili, really solid kickboxer coming from Team Alpha Male, training with Uriah Faber as his head coach, so he's dialed in at all times. And a guy who 33 years old. He's already had 20 fights in the promotion, and another guy who always comes to fight, always brings it, and he's coming off that impressive knockout of Lucas Almeida, where he absolutely dinked him with that straight right and then followed up with the ground and pound. Andre Fili, Dan Ige, this should be a really fun fight, man. I'm looking forward to it. Two dudes who come to fight and scrap all times on the feet, and guys who have serious knockout power. So looking forward to it. Andre Touchy Fili, Dan 50K Ige. Okay, moving on to contenders. Now, these are fighters who, with a big win, an impactful performance, can rise the ranks in their divisions. Starting off with Joe Bodybags Pyfer. This dude is the real deal. 12-2, 11 of those wins are by finish. Perfect in the UFC at 3-0, all 3 wins by finish. He main events against Jack Hermansson at UFC Fight Night on February 10th at the UFC Apex, his first main event in the UFC. And Joe Pyfer, if you didn't know, crazy story. He had a really rough childhood, abusive, violent upbringing, bad parents, and the bad luck did not stop. Dana White's Contender Series, his first fight, broke his arm in brutal fashion, posting his arm on a takedown attempt. He just completely mangled his elbow and his arm. Really, really unfortunate injury. And then he came back on Dana White's Contender Series yet again, landed a beautiful check left hook to knock out Ozzy Diaz and secure the UFC contract. And Dana White said after the fight, be like Joe Pyfer, act like Joe Pyfer. And the success there did not stop. In his UFC debut, landed a beautiful knockout over Alan Amadovsky, the uppercut into the right cross, and then finished him with a nice hard ground and pound shot. And then in his second fight against GM3, Gerald Mearshart knocked him out. A hard 1-2, finished the right cross and then the ground and pound to seal that deal. And then in his third fight, most recently against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, showed off his really well-rounded grappling skills, took him down, head and arm triangle cinched in immediately, and choked him to sleep. So Joe Pyfer's the real deal, man. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think Joe Pyfer can get it done here. I'm going to go second round TKO over Jack Hermansson. Hermansson's no joke. He's the middleweight gatekeeper. Really awkward, unorthodox style on the feet. Hard to gauge and find your range against him. And then again, he has really good grappling skills, submission skills, hard ground and pound. So Hermansson's the real deal, but I think Pyfer passes the test here. I'm looking forward to it. I think Joe Pyfer has a big 2024 in store. A guy who is completely comfortable on the feet, comfortable on the ground. He trains it with a really good team. Marquez MMA in Philly, Sean Brady, Andre Petrovsky, Pat Sabatini, Jeremiah Wells, legit UFC fighters in their own right. So Joe Pyfer is legit, and he trains with good people. He works hard. He really, really has a strong desire to succeed after that rough childhood. So a guy that's, you have to root for Joe Pyfer, hard not to. And looking forward to this fight. I think he gets it done. Okay, next up, Yair Rodriguez, 18-4 overall, 10-3 in the UFC. He takes on Brian T. City Ortega at UFC Fight Night Mexico on the 24th of February. Now, Yair Rodriguez, one of the most creative and incredible strikers in UFC history. These spinning attacks, spinning elbows, spinning back fists, spinning kicks. I mean, just phenomenal. One of a kind, Yair Rodriguez. Of course, the Korean Zombie elbow with literally 1 second left. He had that recent war against Max Holloway. He lost, of course, to Volkanovski at 290. But before that, the Josh Emmett win, the incredible triangle choke in the second round to secure the interim belt. Yair Rodriguez, a really special and fun fighter to watch. Now, you might be thinking, why is he on this contender list? He's already a solidified contender, a former interim champ. Well, the featherweight division is wide open, with Max Holloway going up to 155 lightweight to fight Justin Gaethje, and the 298 featherweight title happening the same month, 1 week before this fight between Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez. Yair has a perfect opportunity by the end of 2024 to fight for that featherweight belt again. So I think Yair Rodriguez gets it done here against Brian Ortega. I think he finishes him, a TKO or submission, most likely a TKO. I think he makes it look really, really impressive with that Mexican crowd too behind him. Obviously, Brian Ortega had Mexican heritage too, but I think Yair Rodriguez gets it done in front of his crowd, makes a big statement, and has a big 2024 incoming. Okay, next up, Natalia Silva. I'm really excited about this one. I think she's a future star. 16-5. She's 4-0 in the UFC, 2 knockouts, 2 decisions. She takes on Vivian Araujo at the first UFC Fight Night of the month on the 3rd of February. She's fighting Vivian. Natalia Silva is special, man. She is maybe one of the fastest female flyweights, if not the fastest female flyweights out there. Her kickboxing, taekwondo style is so fun to watch. She's really phenomenal. Not only is she fast, but she's incredibly powerful. She's experienced, and she has a great personality, really fun, happy-going, like an Amanda Hebos. Natalia Silva, really, really fun to watch. Look at that spinning heel kick into the neck of Teresa Bleda, finishing her with that 3rd round spinning back kick. And then here against Victoria Leonardo, just butchering her on the feet, punching her with her boxing, and then her kickboxing. Look at that. The lead leg roundhouse kick is wicked fast. Lands the hard 1-2 and then just whips that leg. Look at Victoria Leonardo is just broken, dude. So just, whoa, boom. Left hook, boom. Look at that left hook. And then watch this lead leg kick. Lands the hard jab, misses with the tube, then look at this. Boom! Right through the guard, just mentally and physically breaking her opponents. Really fun to watch here. Boom. Against Andrea Lee, the roundhouse, and then immediately the right cross following the roundhouse wobbles Andrea Lee. Look how fast that is, man. Like, it's ridiculous. Super fast, fun and creative, sort of like Yair Rodriguez there with that taekwondo style. And then here against Jasmine Jasdavicius, just dominating her, and Jasmine just had a huge performance at 297, so this aged really well. Natalia Silva just completely beat her ass, and this was Natalia Silva's debut. So she's really fun. Looking forward to her fight with Vivian Araujo. I think she gets it done here by finish or by decision. All right, next up, top prospects. These are fighters outside of their division's top 15. Starting off with Rinya Nakamura. Now, this Japanese bantamweight is very talented. He's undefeated, 8-0, 2-0 in the UFC. 6 of those 8 wins are by finish. He takes on Carlos Vera on the prelims at UFC 298. Now, Rinya Nakamura is the winner of the Season 1 Road to the UFC. He landed a beautiful knockout of Toshiomi Kazama in the very first round. I want to say it was 30 seconds into that fight. The straight left, leaning back, very similar to Sugar Sean O'Malley. Aljamain Sterling said this from Southpaw. And the straight left there, right on the chin to knock out Kazama. 30 seconds into that fight. Just beautiful, precise, clean finish. And a really interesting thing here about Rinya Nakamura, he's not a striker. He's a wrestler. He's been wrestling his whole life for 20 years. He's only been training mixed martial arts for 3.5 years. So really interesting there to see his power and his striking technique, his striking skills on display. Here in his second fight against Fernie Garcia, just mauled him the entire fight. Really showed off that wrestling base. Controlled him for all 15 minutes, landed some ground and pound, got him almost in crucifix a few times. He had a few submission attempts that were close. He had an armbar here that I'm about to show that was pretty darn close. He had a head and arm triangle in the second round as well. So a dude who has legit grappling skills is what he's built off of, really. He's learning. I think he's probably a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, considering he's only been training for 3.5 years. So this is a dude who is very raw. He's 8-0. He's 28 years old, and I think he has a bright future ahead. Rinya Nakamura, he's going to finish Carlos Vera, 298. Moving on, Roman Kopylov. Now, most of you guys probably know this dude. He's a killer. 12-2, 11 of those 12 wins are by knockout. He takes on Fluffy Hernandez at UFC 298 on the main card. This is a phenomenal fight. He's actually an underdog in this fight. And Roman Kopylov, his last 4 fights, all 4 wins by KO. This dude is a killer, man. He had a rough start to his UFC career. He went 0-2, losing to Carl Roberson and Albert Duraev, I think. But ever since then, Roman Kopylov has been on an absolute tear. What you'll notice with him is he loves to attack the body. He has phenomenal boxing of the body and really, really nice kicks from southpaw. His body kicks really damage the body, and then he'll come up top with a head kick and just, put your lights out. And this is a dude who, he's still young. I think he's only 32 years old, and he's a really, really talented dude. I think he can make waves in the middleweight division in 2024. I think the Fluffy Hernandez fight is a really entertaining fight, and I think if he keeps it on the feet, he can slowly start to piece out Fluffy Hernandez, use that boxing, start to don't discriminate, go to the body, and then attack up top. I think he can have an impressive win here, especially on the main card of 298. He's going to have a lot more viewers than his previous fights. And I think a dude who, in a matchup where he's fighting a grappler, I think Roman Kopylov can knock out a lot of people, man. 12 wins, 11 KOs, so obviously he can. And I'm looking forward to this fight. I think he's an underdog to Fluffy Hernandez, and I want to say he finishes Fluffy Hernandez, but Fluffy's durable. But I mean, 11 KOs out of 12 wins. So we'll do this. Third round TKO of Fluffy Hernandez. Roman Kopylov gets it done yet again. All right, moving on. Bolaji Oki, the lightweight from Belgium. This dude's coming off the Contender series. He had a beautiful knockout of a French fighter, and he's taken on Damir Hadzovic. He's 8-1. Bolaji Oki is 5 of those wins were by KO, 1 by submission, and a dude who looked really, really good on the Contender series. He's the Zulu Warrior. His nickname is the Zulu Warrior, and the dude fights like it, man. He's ferocious. He's very skilled. And he's got serious power in his hands. This was actually a fight where he was an underdog. Dylan Salvador, the dude he was taking on from Lyon, France, was a pretty solid striker. I think he had a kickboxing background, solid striking acumen. But Oki, man, just looked really nice. Started off here with the straight right and then just working the body, hurting Dylan Salvador here on multiple occasions. That body shot there just crumpled him. There's nothing you can do about that. And there you go, Bolaji Oki securing the contract on Dana White's Contender series. This is a fun fight for him too. Damir Hadzovic is no bum. He's not, a high-level UFC lightweight, but he's definitely no slouch, and a dude who's going to strike with you. So I think this is going to be a favorable matchup for Bolaji Oki, and I think he gets it done by finish here. Looking forward to it. Bolaji Oki. All right, an honorable mention. I'm going to butcher this name. Aliaskhab Khizriev. All right, Khizriev. I can't say the first name. Aliaskhab Khizriev, something like that. Anyways, he takes on Makhmud Radov. This dude's really good, undefeated at 14-0. He had a really fun fight against Denis Tululin in his debut. Kind of got rocked a few times by Tululin, but then just choked him out and just took his back, finished it real quick. This is a dude who I believe he fights at a Makhachkala in Dagestan, and a really, really talented middleweight. Like I mentioned, undefeated at 14-0, and a well-rounded record too. I think he has 5 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission, and 4 wins by decision. So this dude can get it done on any aspect, and a guy who, if he trims down and keeps in shape, he's a middleweight to look out for. And Makhmud Radov, again, a guy with serious power, doesn't really have a good grappling acumen. We saw Caio Borralho maul him, so I'm expecting Khizriev here. If Khizriev isn't stupid and takes it to the ground, or at least tries to work in some grappling, I think he can submit Makhmud Radov. He did it to Denis Tululin quite easily when he got to the ground. So this is a fun dude to watch out for. Aliaskhab Khizriev, I'm sorry if I butchered that name. A fun dude to look out for, 14-0 undefeated.